It is the April 9th, Thursday edition of Chamber's Insights on the Economic Impact of COVID pandemic. Joining me as usual is the President and CEO of St. Petersburg Chamber of Commerce, Chris Steinecker. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Joe. Thanks for having me. And again, thanks to Catalyst for everything you guys are doing. I know that our viewers and your readers are hitting your site quite a bit because the information's there that everybody needs to know. So thanks for allowing me to be part of it again today.
Sure. And today we've got what I would call Chamber royalty on as a guest, a long time fixture at the Chamber. And so I thought I'd just Chamber overload today and bring in the rare limited edition Chamber logo shirt.
So are you intending me to cry in front of you on camera? Is that what you want?
It makes for good TV, right? I mean,
I'm not supposed to touch my face, but look what you're doing to me.
Your tears are antiseptic.
Yeah, they are. Thank you, Joe. I appreciate the Chamber love that you've always given us. It is a big day today. We're going to talk about what our entrepreneurs are doing in our community. But I do want to remind everybody that if you're watching this, this is a day where you should have put in some kind of applications if you're a business. If you're a business in St. Pete and you are part of our Fighting Chance initiative of those 5 industries that have been hit the hardest, your job today is to get your application in. It's very simple to put in. We're learning a lot about it, but what we're asking all of our businesses is, if you qualify, please get that in as soon as possible if you want that relief. And then also today is where all the banks are putting in for the PPP, the Payroll Protection Program from the SBA. So all that paperwork is starting to go. So I believe all of our viewers who have running businesses are doing a lot of administrative work today, realizing that they're away from why they got in the business in the first place, but trying to do everything they can to keep their business going. And so it's a big day for us. But what I thought we'd do today, Joe, is we talked a little bit about how our business is going on and how do we continue our activities. We're proud at the Chamber that we work with the Greenhouse every year, and we do something called an Entrepreneur Academy. And that is where we bring in about 25 folks each class. We have 50 folks that spend 10 weeks in an intense mode with leaders from out the community, and they learn how to start up their business. Well, it could have been easy for us to stop doing that during this, but we actually launched it right in the middle of it. And I want to bring on the person who's launched it, who works with a lot of our entrepreneurs, to describe a little bit about what he's learning from this experience. So let's bring in Barry Foster.
Great. And this is going to take a second more because we have to connect through NASA to get him on.
Yeah.
He took quarantining to the next level.
Yes.
Space oddity. Barry Foster, welcome.
Good morning, guys.
Barry, it's good to see you, buddy. And I know you're still on this planet, but it appears you might be a little farther away. But I know your ability to safe distance is pretty amazing for me. So a lot of folks in the Chamber world know who you are. You've been working with me for a long time now. We've been doing a lot of great things. But just first of all, introduce yourself to the Catalyst crowd.
Okay, well, thank you, Chris, and thank you, Joe, for the opportunity. I am a personal and professional development coach who focuses primarily on business owners and senior leadership. Part of my background is that I'm a military veteran and served in Vietnam and in Germany. I joined the corporate world back in the late 70s, early 80s, went into business for myself as an entrepreneur back in the mid 80s, and I've been in my own business ever since.
Well, thank you, Barry. And can I start with, and I don't want this to come out as an awkward question for you, but you and I've talked a little bit about your experience in Vietnam, and you are a very humble gentleman, but you fly. You were the helicopter pilot who went in and picked up the guys who needed help to get them out of there. So talk about just as a young guy running through stress. Can you compare the two that we're going through right now, of what you went through in Vietnam and what we're going through now? Is there any similarities, or is that just too crazy of a question?
No, it's a good question. The one thing that I currently struggle with, and I keep it in the background, is anybody who's been in a combat scenario knows that there's always this feeling in the background that you don't know what's going to happen next. And Normally when you wake up in the morning, you don't know what's going to happen next. Um, it's a different level when you are in a combat zone. You don't know uh, all what the bad guys are going to do. And my particular job, along with going out and picking up folks, was search and destroy. We had to go find the enemy. And so that meant that we were in contact all the time. And we never really knew in the back of our minds what was going to come up next. There was a bit of fear that we had to suppress. And as I've always said, that courage is not the lack of fear. Courage is the ability of working at one's peak while being fearful. And so a lot of the correlations or the um, comparisons between the two I don't know what's going to happen next. I can protect myself as much as I can. I don't know what's going to happen next, but I have to be able to work at a very high level and a peak while being fearful, because that's what my clients, colleagues, friends, and family need.
Wow, Barry, that's what I love about you, man. That gave me goosebumps, and I really mean that because you and I've had some great conversations about how we got our and you used to describe to me when you would fly. I was like, well, how do you fly when people are shooting at you? And he says, you don't look at the people shooting at you. You just fly, baby. You fly, and I think that's what you're teaching our entrepreneurs too. Is yeah, it's crazy out there, but you just got to keep flying. You got a job to do, and it's to get these people out. So you don't worry about anything else but what you're doing, right? And that mindset is what you're bringing along to our community in St. Pete. So that's what I'd love to talk about if you don't mind. So let's shift into a little bit more of a positive atmosphere. So what you have done for the Chamber over the last 10 years that I've been working with you is you and I every year do 2 entrepreneur academies each year, and that's an in-person experience where we bring people up to the greenhouse every Monday for 10 weeks. You bring in experts from across the spectrum, from the accountants, the business coaches, the lawyers, and the bankers. And a business plan when they leave, and a pitch when they leave, and a plan when they head out. That's always done in person because it's a hand-to-hand kind of. I'm going to make a decision 3 weeks ago during this is we were about to start Entrepreneur Academy, and we had to decide should we do it or not, and we decided through the process.
To your credit, it was never in my mind, nor do I think it was in the Chamber's mind, to cancel the class. The thing that Kim Vogel and you were primarily focused on was to pivot and to innovate. And so we delayed the class for a week. They contacted all of the students. All the students were on board. All the facilitators were on board. I was on board because right now you can either be in a fear mode, a learning mode, or a growth mode. And I live in the learning and growth mode. So the decision was made to launch it virtually, which had its kinks at first, but everyone has been absolutely awesome working through this.
Right. So now we're on week 3. You've kept the whole class together. So I think this class has about 23 folks in it, and they're getting the Zoom experience. But it seems like, the intriguing part is it might actually become even a better experience for these folks in some weird ways because they're staying on the call past 9 o'clock. They're asking a lot more questions. There just seem to be there's a different dynamic. Can you describe that?
Yeah, I think they understand that the necessity of being able to change and to get engaged and to be involved is actually entrepreneurial in itself. And when adversity happens, you've got to be able to pivot in order to handle that adversity. And it really shows the true heart and soul of the passion that these folks have to go out and take that risk, take that leap, and not only take the risk and take the leap, but do it in a foreign platform. And they are all showing the entrepreneur spirit and the entrepreneur courage to be able to embrace this challenge. And I think it's showing them more of who they're made of than more about what we are doing as a platform.
Yeah, we're testing everybody. And, that's why I think it was so beautiful that we kept going forward, because as we all know now, being business owners, being an entrepreneur is hard work, and it's scary work, and it's never easy. And if you think you have it figured out, change is occurring. So to launch a class in that environment, these probably are going to be our most prepared entrepreneurs in what they have already been through in life. And because what we really have to figure out is, we are in the relief mode right now as a community and as a chamber and as a city and as a catalyst and as a business coach. We're all in a relief mode, but we're about to get into reopen mode. We're about to get in recover mode, and we're about to get into reimagine mode. So keeping everybody fresh and thoughtful is really important through this. And that's what Entrepreneur Academy can do for us.
I love that progression that you just took us through, because what we're not going to be doing is going back to yesterday mode. Yesterday is yesterday, and the world is going to be different when we go and start to reimagine. That's why it's reimagine it. We're going to have to reinvent where we are, and all of that is going to be based on who we are, and that's what I specialize in is the person themselves. Who are you?
One thing you said that resonated, I love that you brought up the mindsets. And this has been something that we've brought up a couple times through our conversations, that you had mentioned the fear mindset, the learning mindset, the growth, and you're in the learning. You always stay in the learning and growth. And, as a veteran, I've heard people talk about PTSD, and they've done studies on PTSD, and the people, the soldiers who were moving forward and choosing to run into the building, or were in types of positions where they were engaging the action of their own accord, tend to suffer PTSD less than those who were more walking and patrolling and waiting for like an IED to go off. And the takeaway I took from that, what I took away from that was that, if you are manifesting your future, you feel in control of your future, that's such a healthier mental place to be. And we've talked about, with our businesses now, this is the time to take control of your future, to pivot and do what you can do with the resources you have, to innovate, to improve pieces of your business now that you have this downtime, because it actually improves your business, but also helps keep you in that mindset. Does that resonate with you?
You're exactly right. There's above the line and then there's below the line thinking. And below the line thinking eventually gets deep enough where you become the victim. Above the line thinking says, I see what's going on. I own my piece of what's going on. I'm going to create a solution. I'm going to normalize the reality. And then I'm going to execute that solution. And so I don't end up being the quote unquote victim. I'm not going to play the blame game. I'm not going to point fingers. It wasn't somebody else's fault. It is here. And we have to normalize this reality. And so a lot of what my work is all about accountability and ownership. And you've got to stay above the line in order to be able to see it, own it, solve it, and then execute that solution. And all of us who were in combat, and I was there 50 years ago, 1970, came away with a little bit of PTSD, and there are portions of it that reoccur for me from time to time. Is it debilitating? No. One of the things is that sense in the background that I'm not in control and don't know exactly what's going to happen next. And I'm a control freak. I like to be able to control my environment so I can let somebody else have control. And that sounds paradoxical, but you're either in control or you have control. And as a solid coach, you have control without being in control, because the client, the business owner, etc., they are in control. I am addressing their issues and providing whatever kind of objective feedback, input, being a sounding board, a thinking partner, an accountability buddy, whatever it is that they need.
So Barry, thank you for that. And as we wrap up now, as we jumped on the call, you described what's going on in your background, and you use the analogy of what's happening with your entrepreneurs. So share with the listeners now just how you describe that background.
So the bright lights that are up there that are up there are the my entrepreneurial class that's coming towards us, that's coming over the horizon to save us from an entrepreneurial perspective. The stars in the sky are my past EA graduates who are looking over us, and that has special meaning to me in this photo, even though it's a stock photo.
Yeah, no, so I think it's beautiful because I think part of what I draw from it is, and you've always given me this, Barry, is the optimism on the horizon that there is more coming and there's good things coming. And now we know at least we have 25 and we can have a lot more. So the greenhouse and the chamber want to help all of our businesses. And so does Barry succeed in this. So there's more opportunities for you to be on that horizon as well. But Barry, you're a great coach for everybody else. As we leave out, what would you tell all those other stars in the sky right now that felt like they had a good plan, felt like they were on the horizon, and now they're kind of hanging out there wondering? Give us one more bit of Barry's advice on how to take on today.
Well, I have a quote that I want to end with from Napoleon Hill: "Think and grow rich," and it goes: every adversity, every failure, every heartache carries with it the seed of an equivalent or a greater benefit. So the light at the end of the tunnel is coming. What I always suggest to the stars in the sky, anyone that I come involved with, is don't look for the light at the end of the tunnel. Be the light in the tunnel. Light your way, light the way for others. And what's particularly poignant about this is that Napoleon Hill says that it carries with it the seed. That's the greenhouse. That's that 360-degree, get the seed, get it to grow, get it to move forward. Even a seed will grow through concrete. It's gonna emerge, and so aren't all of these stars in the sky. They will emerge.
That's beautiful, Barry. I think that's why everybody needs a coach. That's why you're on today. That's why you've been helping our entrepreneurs for 10 years. Thank you for what you've done for our country, what you've done for St. Pete, what you've done for me and the chamber directly. We hope you have a safe pandemic itself, but I know I'll see you on Monday night at the Entrepreneur Academy.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you. See ya.